We're going to go into our next session. It's the App Developer Roundtable with Randy Zimler. If you could come to the stage and introduce your guests.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Much.
Thank you, Randy.
All right. All my application developer team, please come on up and find a seat, and we'll chat. I'll make sure I speak into the microphone rather than yelling loudly. I don't need a microphone. I think you all have figured that out. So while we're getting seated, just give you a little brief introduction about myself. My name is Randy Zimler. I've spent quite a few years in everything from application development. I didn't mention it to these guys here. But then again, where we are today in terms of the Purple Foundation, I'm a member of the board of directors. And my responsibility is to make sure we bring us all together. So as a board member, I'm here for you all, as well as for what we do as an organization. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Go back one. That was a sensitive. There we go. So here's the list of who's going to be talking today, and I want to thank you all, especially for being here. And of course, operator error always brings me to the next slide. So without further ado, what I'd like to have happen is each of the panelists introduce themselves, and we'll go from there, and then we'll have some time for questions for all of you all. So Oscar, please.
Hi, my name is Oscar Hernandez. I'm a senior director with Capgemini Engineering, focusing on sales for CSPs. Capgemini is basically an integration services provider, and we do everything from helping with embedded software development to cloud applications, integration services, testing services, and deployment services. Since we rejoined or got reactive in the Purple Foundation probably middle of last year.
Very good, thank you. So next on our list, Simon, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Simon Xi. I'm the Director of Product Development at Origin AI. Joining Origin as an embedded engineer, now I'm leading the development of Wi-Fi sensing solution on device for different verticals. So at Origin, we have been a pioneer in partnering with global and tier one companies like Verizon to bring Wi-Fi sensing application to end users. So our solution is production proven. Also, we are continuously improving. Not only we can use in-channel state information for motion detection, now we have involved specializing motion classification, utilizing AI that can differentiate motion caused by human versus non-human. We believe that's very important for applications like security, elderly care, and we see ISPs as key partners to bring this application to the market as a value service. So very nice to see you all here.
Thank you. Bob, please take it away.
Hello, hi, my name is Bob El-Hawary. I look after global sales at Cognitive Systems. We're a Canadian-based company based in the UK or on an airplane somewhere at any given point in time. But yeah, Cognitive Systems, we've been around for a while, and we're focused on Wi-Fi sensing, similar to our colleagues at Origin. We have actually over 13 million deployments to date with Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 service providers, focused on a number of applications. One is home security, also focusing on remote elderly care, assisted living, and caregiving, among other use cases. So what we want to do today is actually, as you're trying to do within the Purple Foundation, is increase the scale, increase the interoperability from an open application perspective, and really, scale to the potential that Wi-Fi sensing can bring, and very importantly, get to monetization. So we want to leverage the patents we have. We have over 430 of those, but patents alone aren't going to do it. We've got to be existing within a framework. So pleased to be here and talk today in the panel.
Thanks, Bob. Nadav.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nadav Liebermann, SAM's VP of Innovation and Data. At SAM, I'm responsible for data analytics, device identification, and network and security research. SAM Sims Network is a network observability, security, and intelligence company. We work with several ISPs. We're deployed currently in more than 7 million networks across the globe, mostly in North America, Europe, and in Israel. We are very excited to work with prpl. We're currently also already integrated into the prpl framework. We really believe it will help us, help ISPs, and help consumers move much, much quicker with different applications, of course, with protecting their network and providing them and the telcos more intelligence to do services better.
Thank you. So Dzung?
Hi, Dzung Tran, VP Technologies from Super Micro. So I'm working on R&Ds and help with the 1 or 2 year roadmap development for our company. The solution we provide today is a white label product that subscribers from operator will use that under the brand provided by the operator. So we provide some additional customization for authentications and building purposes, but primarily is our product behind the scene. So what the product does is parental control for the home environment as well as on the road for children who have mobile devices like iPhone and Android devices. Parental control is not just for controlling the children access to internet, but also allow parents to be able to monitor and control the traffic and see what side being sent, and received through the CPE. At the same time, when the children are on the move, they can use location-based services, and behind-the-wheel driving is a way to feedback to parents so the parent can control that aspect of the digital life as well.
Thank you, son. Fernando, please wrap it up for us.
Hello, my name is Fernando Luís. I'm the head of product and development for Streambow. So Streambow works with quality of service and quality of experience and helps the operators to have the best for their customers. Now with the prpl, we have a solution inside of the prpl OS to address in an effective way everything that is inside the house and of course also in eDAX part. Okay, that's basically it.
Thank you so much. So what we'll do is we'll go in now to the distinguished questions for the distinguished panelists. So the first one is for you, Simon. So as we think about the connected home and we think about open source, where does then prpl and the development community fit into the needs and requirements that we can move forward with developing services that are based on prpl and open source?
Yeah, to answer that, I first put my developer hats on. By working with chipset vendors, myself, with OEM, with ISPs, we found the prpl is extremely benefit for us. Especially shorten the time to market, because we need to deploy across different ISPs, different CPEs, different driver, different chipset vendors with the standardized high-level API, low-level API. I think prpl OS going to significantly shorten that time to market. And also have a container running in the routers. We believe that's the way first to get a very consistent, reliable service running, and also provide a way to deploy a new value-added service, just like Origin is doing with Wi-Fi sensing. We can turn on home monitoring for your server, a router that's running our service without adding any extra hardware. So we're talking about 17 connected devices average at home. So Wi-Fi sensing can do for you is running on the routers with the IoT device you have, Echo Dot, Google Home Mini, together create a sensing network to create that value service for home monitoring, intrusion detection, occupancy detection, elderly care, without you adding a piece of hardware. We believe that's very valuable.
Well, very good. And of course, from an open source perspective, anything that we as an organization from prpl can take advantage of, especially some of the discussions that we just had from the operator community, the need to make sure that whatever we develop from software is based on open standards and those.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then there's a following question for Dzung. So as we think about now, open platform, open services, what's it going to take for the development community to really build on the development of advanced applications and what that might mean in terms of the work that you're doing and how that reflects then on us as a Purple community?
Yes, I think the important thing is to reduce frictions and collaboration with critical thinking feedback into the working groups. In particular, I found that in the security space, if you heard Jason from a previous panel, talk about multiple security solution potentially could be available in an app store to deploy multiple layers. So how do we get them to run and provide feedback so that not all of them have to be suffering due to performance or storage, but maybe there's a way that Purple could accommodate best of feature turn on and off so that multiple solutions from multiple vendors can coexist and less friction and still can interoperate to provide the value that the operator is looking for. So I think potentially we may have a special working group on application level, and not just container alone, but together hopefully define a way that coexistence for application can be within the same CPE.
So if we think about it, advanced services, technology, what is then, and I know Wouter and others spoke about high-level API, adding on to and just briefly, if you can comment on the need to make sure we standardize on the high-level API so we can then take advantage of the advanced services. Where do you think that needs to fit into the paradigm?
Yeah, I think exactly high-level API working or directly with OB USP consortium and provide that feedback from a viewpoint of applications.
Yeah.
So that it can be translated into TR-181 high-level API.
Right.
So that multiple product can communicate and say, I'm running this feature, but not these features. And then another application will run, I'm running the feature that you don't run, so that they can coexist nicely. So yeah, it could be an API, it could be layers to define all the way down to containers, yeah.
Very good. So here's the killer question. This is going to Bob. Bob, what's the killer app? Now we've talked about the high-level API, the connectivity, everything related to the connected home. Where do you think the killer app is going to be?
Yeah, that's a good killer question, Randy. Yeah, if I had the right answer to that, I think I'd be a millionaire. I wouldn't be here. But actually, no, we have a view of this. I'm actually going to build upon Sophie's great answer to this, because I know she alluded to this earlier. Look, what we believe is that it's not going to be just one single application. And if there is going to be an application, it's got to be something that's monetizable, right? It's monetizable, obviously highly adoptable, and something that's in great demand. Sure. Now, for that to happen, having that single application, let's say smart home, as Sophie mentioned earlier, it's difficult to monetize. It's one single sort of dimensional application. For us, we believe that you're going to have multiple applications having to coexist and share information with each other. And that's what Purple will help facilitate, is by being able to combine those lower layer components together and share the information between each other. So if you were to ask me the question as to what that killer application is, it's going to be multiple applications working together. And a service that we believe has a lot of high potential for that is actually not just home security as the obvious one, but it would be around elderly care, assisted living, because that's going to be dependent upon many other elements and applications. So for example, it's going to touch upon smart home automation to assist somebody who's living at home alone. It's going to rely on cybersecurity. It's going to rely on multiple other services. So that framework that Purple provides, if that's adopted across the board, is going to really help enable that super killer applications such as elderly care, assisted living.
Yeah, and I've got some thoughts on some follow-up questions, but we certainly can spend more time. But that's good. I mean, look, we all know that advanced applications, as we introduce them, are the ones dependent on a foundational support from our organization. And ultimately, what we need to do in terms of architecting our platform to meet the needs of the application developers. And there's going to be a question coming up towards the end. I'm going to leave it as a surprise. So anyways, but this next one, Fernando's got a tough one. And it actually has to do with advanced applications. And I think we all know the buzzwords recently are artificial intelligence. So where does then artificial intelligence fit into our paradigm from Purple? What do you think more we need to do, if anything? Maybe we're ready. What's your viewpoint on how that fits in?
Yeah, AI is an essential technology for understanding the real world through data. It provides us essentially insights that could not be possible at a normal human eye to see. The number of connected devices, as it was said in the session before, is increasing. So today, in the US, for example, in average, we have 17 connected devices, which is a lot. So the role of the Purple Home Gateway is more important than ever. So understanding how, when, and why the end subscribers use the home gateway, it's really, really important to see how it's the quality of services. Streambow is addressing these and helping the operators doing a better job here. So one of the key pieces that we have in our solution is the carrier grade speed test that goes until 10 gig. But the important part here is really to do the stress tests inside the house, in the connected home, to all these available devices to really understand how is the quality of service inside. But that's not all. We should go also outside. We should look for the access part, because it's really also important. How is this connection? And then all together, with all this data, we can get more value and help, in fact, the operators to pinpoint and leverage the quality of service and also the performance of the network or for their customers.
So let me follow up then, and this is to other panelists as well. That is there anything, okay, dealing with data, dealing with information, what's collected from the consumer, customer, from a network acquisition, using data modeling to extract information, what would then be a proper path forward for the organization in Purple to start thinking about how we need to architect a solution around how we would then leverage the capabilities of AI into our platform? I don't know if you all have really, I know there's a lot of need right now to make sure we meet the basic needs of the customer, everything we know about applications that we know today, but thinking in the future, where is the nuts and bolts around AI and how that might fit? I mean, it might be a broad enough question where we have to think about what that answer is, but I'm going to leave it to you all. Any comments regarding AI and how that fits into our model?
So I can speak about a few things. First of all, AI today is a double-edged sword because there's a huge hype. There's also a huge cost.
Yeah.
And the need isn't always clear. So we all want to jam AI everywhere, right? So we need to be careful about that. So that's one thing. Now think about AI, and I can give an example from Sam. We have been using AI, before, let's call it ChatGPT became popular, but not as Gen AI to provide prompts to people, but to identify different types of network attacks which are unknown, right? Using stuff like I couldn't put an analyst just looking at lines all day, obviously. And that's where we take all the data, run it on the cloud, and then provide those bits to all the networks to secure. You wouldn't want to run something like that on the edge, for example, because it doesn't make sense, too expensive, would damage this experience. So the whole range of items that we need to consider, and we need to be careful with that, right? And I think there are two products unrelated to the telco that were recently launched hardware products which are dedicated to AI. And currently, both seem like a fail, right? So we need to think where it makes sense and apply it there.
So let me I'm going to hold off for any other comments right now. I want to make sure we get some of these additional questions, but we'll come back to this topic about AI, and then we'll have a few minutes for Q&A. But that's a lead-in to cloud services. So what's the relationship now, if we think about Purple in the context of CPE in the home, and how that relates to data that might be managed in the network by an operator, and where that would then link into maybe some other broad aspects about how Purple then brings the connected network into the connected home. So what are your thoughts on that, Nadav?
Yeah, that's a very good question, which is, I think, very important, specifically when we're talking about providing connectivity to people, because we're not talking about a product for 1 or 5 or 500 enterprise, which can pay a lot of money. We're talking about tens and hundreds of millions of consumers often. So we want to hit a few key points that we need to balance all of them, right? We need the right price point. We need it not to negatively affect user experience and provide what the product needs to provide. Sure. And of course, we need to take care of privacy. So thinking about what's happening on-prem or on the CPE, what's happening on the cloud between them. So we need to balance all of that. What I think makes sense is to try to really distill the essence of what's really important to run on the CPE. And first of all, make sure that the CPE can do that. Because then you can also make sure that you can run, for example, on legacy devices if the operator has those. We run on 15-year-old routers in some cases, right? They don't have a lot of horsepower. So that's one thing. But then as the routers become more powerful, we can start to think of how we offload items that are running on the cloud to those distributed networks to actually reduce cost.
So, okay. What I'm hearing is there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So it's not just something we can simplify in terms of what Purple can do today, but it's a lot of information that needs to be collated in such a way in combination with the network and with the CPE, and then bring that all together in terms of solutions that the customer is going to have demands for. We talked about the home automation, connected devices, et cetera. But I want to ask Dzung something. How does all this benefit what we're doing here from an operator perspective and the applications? How does that fit with the thinking that you have and how we can move forward in terms of leveraging what the operator's needs are? And I think we talked about monetization, but beyond monetization, do you have any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think the router, the CPE nowadays is like a supercomputer compared to the Linksys I have 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. It definitely is equal or better performance on some of the router I have at work as well. So I think today's environment, connected home, is the extension of your work office when you work remotely. So it become a SOHO, could be an extension of your office that you can securely have a connection to your corporate network on a trusted path with a trusted CPE with everything running behind to filter and protect you. So I think that's a good use case for operators to think about remote workers. I think other potential for the future for operator is roaming. It's a value-added revenue generation potentially for CPE equipment vendors or with the operator. Maybe the third case could be for public safety. You need to do a QoS, turn off certain features you don't need to, and public safety nearby need to use your Wi-Fi for an emergency response. So I think these are the value-added based on the need, based on the type of data and connection you could enable through, again, containers or API high level that we could provide to the user of your services on your providers. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there if you can isolate functions and let them coexist nicely through API and layering with security behind the scene. I think it just is powerful as an office that I work in today in the office.
Oh, very good. Any other comments, any other thoughts on this? Coming from the operator community, and already touched a bit on the benefits that come to both the customer and also what was discussed previously during the operators panel, certain aspects of how then the application becomes really the mantra of the operator community. Moving forward, the ability of leveraging the technology that's in the CPE, that's in the cloud. So as we move forward in time, the one question I want to start with, and then we'll get some feedback on this, and I'm going to direct this to Oscar. And that is, what one more thing can Purple do? Maybe there's more than one. What one more thing that we haven't talked about yet can Purple do really to enhance your ability as a developer community to create these applications, to make these available, to help the operators, to help the customer for the long run? So I want to get your thoughts here.
Sure. First of all, over the last year since we got actively involved, we've seen a lot of improvement in just the way the Purple Foundation's functioning and the releases coming out, and so and we believe there's going to be much even better improvement going into 2025. So that's great. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. If I had to pick one thing, which would be to continue to improve the predictability of releases, improve the documentation, so that we can be more predictable. When we build applications or do Purple migrations for our customers.
Very good. Anybody else? Because I have some thoughts, but I want you to feed into this.
Can I volunteer one?
Yeah, sure.
I'm looking for if Purple Foundation will willing to work on a virtual CPE that will help greatly for the application vendor like ourselves who can afford 4 or 5 different routers and test them out. So that's just a proposal. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. And what's it going to take to implement a virtualized environment? So we aren't dependent on necessarily hardware that's embedded into our continuous integration platform. It's something we really need to drill down into over time. So what I want to do is provide a couple minutes for anybody in the Purple community that's sitting with us, if they have any questions they want to direct towards the panelists today. Any thoughts? Got a microphone runner, someone's ready to raise their hand, ask a question about a developer, anything, anywhere. Well, boy, you guys are quiet right now. I guess we've solved all of the issues. Let me add one then. And if someone wants to jump in to ask a question, great. So from the developer community over the past couple of years, we've been build this association between yourselves and others on the OEM side, on the chip vendor side. So if we think about working groups within the Purple Foundation, we've actually created in the past, prior to events like this, what we call a tiger team, to get together to create the demos that you all have had to see, that you've been able to see, that are out in the foyer. What do you all think about establishing just a developers working group, a full-time working group that's chaired by yourselves, someone from your community, so you can start actually having discussions more openly on a regular basis? What are your thinking around that? Any thoughts?
I think so. I think we should collaborate and define maybe even a subgroup of some groups you already have, so that we could start with that first and then maybe steps up into something larger.
Okay.
And feed the requirements back into the forum and let's have a vote on it or something like that.
Well, I think we've just found the new chair. Hey, So we'll help. The board of directors will get together and then make it official. So it won't take much time. Yes, question coming forth. Do we have a mic runner? Here it comes. I think that's Sophie who's going to ask a question. Thank you, Sophie.
Yes, I have a question for you. So you had just a few ideas on what we could improve from the Purple Foundation side, but I would like to hear you from your experience on getting into the telco world and having integration with not only their gateways, but also their IT, their processes, and so on. Maybe there are some barriers there to improve the TTM, because here we are really focusing on the gateways, but we know that in our world, it's not only the gateways. So do you have some insights on that?
I can say that standardization, which is a big word that we said, here quite a lot today, is very important because it makes everybody's life easier in moving forward. But that's talking CPE, right? Now we can think how we transition it to all the rest of the stuff. I think for example, mobile apps, it's actually easier because there's a lot of standardization, but you touched on a big one, IT, CRM integration, oh my God, right? So there's big items that we can move there, but I think that luckily for us, timeframes might not be very fast, but the world is moving there, right? CRM integration, at least from our perspective, in the last 5 years moved quite a lot forward, and it's much easier today. But we still need to incorporate these kind of discussions with additional groups within the telcos, like IT, which is an extremely important one when you want to move forward and integrate and deploy.
Very good. Any other comments
I think Purple helps on the device side for sure, but we work with service providers. Sometimes application has a aspect of integration on the cloud side. Cloud side is implemented in millions of ways. So that's one thing maybe in future that it would be easier to work with ISP in a cloud integration partner.
Very good. Any other follow-up questions? If not, I want to close on a couple topics. Oh, there is one. It's in the back of the room. That's Evgeny, of course. He doesn't need a microphone. It's Evgeny. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I can shout if you want, but
no,
it's okay. So, folks, I know that one of the weakest sides of Purple is the cloud, because we have raised the question there. We have been asked many times, when are we going to press on the cloud? And with the newly appointed chair, what do you see in that group as an initiative for a cloud API? We're lacking that, but we want somebody to drive that. We want an organization within Purple to drive APIs, not only one, but APIs that are cloud-bound and standardize that direction as well.
I think that's a good question. So I previously had an opportunity to work with another vendors that we talk about cloud integration because joint solution is better than one. So I think that the virtualization that you already have in container and OCI format fit very well with the cloud. I mean, that came from the cloud, Dockers and so forth. So I think enable functionality in the cloud could be as simple as do a LCM generated container on a CPE. The API, I think we could borrow the same model and define with a high-level API for the cloud. That could be extended between the CPE and the cloud. I think that is very cohesive effort together so that things will group together, deployment would be going together, and cloud and CPE should go because storage is not unlimited on a CPE. Caching and distributed processing should be a part of the CPE so that you could scale with a low cost and you leverage on the cloud to do something crunching like an AI or something large database that we can't fit into the CPE. So I think it's a very legitimate concern, and I do share with that, and I think it's not me driving it, but I'm just saying that's my thought, it's same path.
So thanks, Bob. You had a quick response.
Yeah, no, we definitely share that concern, because I know we're talking about the gateways and the access points, but what we find in the integration phase that one of the points on the critical path is cloud integration, and if you don't have those standardization and the APIs, it then requires some development on our side or on the operator side, and that can take some time. And agree totally. Cloud costs have to be managed. We do most of our processing on the edge. So we want to limit any additional costs there from that perspective.
So thanks, Bob. I appreciate my distinguished panel. Thank you so much for being here today. And as we close, I got 7 seconds to, if you want to ask me why I carry a fork in my pocket, feel free to come and ask me.